This week, we've been saluting our Wisconsin veterans with some stories from the last Badger Honor Flight of the year. Our Brandon Ross and photojournalist Jim Abraham were invited to join the one-day trip to Washington, D.C. alongside 88 veterans. Tonight, as we celebrate Veterans Day, Braden is here with the last story from that day, and it's a special one. Braden.
Yeah, tonight I'd like you to meet Mike Sullivan. He, like many Vietnam veterans, wasn't welcomed home with open arms when he finished his service in 1968. But now, more than 50 years later, Badger Honor Flight is giving him the welcome home he deserves. Take a look.
And the one guy came back from the Army and says, get in and get out as quick as you can.
Mike Sullivan remembers it all.
My draft notice said report on St. Patrick's Day. Can you imagine doing that to an Irishman?
Get him talking, and it doesn't take long before he's right back to where he was 50 years ago, boarding a train to basic training in Alabama.
I never knew where I was going, and I didn't want to go to war.
He remembers volunteering for military funerals while he was there, how it opened his eyes to the toll the war was taking on families.
We get on the bus and go all over to people's funerals. And I did the 21-gun salute. And then they blowed taps. It was tough.
He watched as loved ones buried their dead, young soldiers not unlike himself, until the call came for him.
I didn't think I was coming back, burying all those boys. And they're all boys. 18, 19.
He was off to Vietnam to fight in a war that at 19, he didn't even fully understand.
It took us 50 hours in the air, but I was in no hurry. I figured if the plane crashed, I was probably more likely to survive that than Vietnam.
Mike landed in Vietnam in February 1967.
You get over there, and you're scared to death. Somehow you turn that fear switch off, and it doesn't come back until about 30 days before you're ready to go home.
He took his friend's advice, got in and out as quick as he could.
If I don't think about the war, the bad parts, all the bad parts, there was a lot of it that I enjoyed over there. I enjoyed some of the people. I enjoyed being in the country.
A year after he arrived, Mike got his orders to go home.
One young rebel climbed up to lower the American flag to half-mast.
They told us that there was problems. Told you you'd probably be better off not to wear your uniform on the airplane coming home.
In weeks, Mike went from Vietnam to working on the UW-Madison campus at the center of one of the most active anti-war cities in the nation.
I started having nightmares, and it wasn't from Vietnam. It was from what I returned to.
He was still working for the university when a bombing at Sterling Hall killed one and injured 4 others on campus.
That's more like war than it is protesting.
At the same time, he was dealing with the aftermath of a war that was still claiming the lives of his peers.
My mom's best friend, son Butch, that was a little bit older than me. We both went over at the same time, and I came back and he didn't. How hard is that?
Years later, things are different. Instead of hiding his service, Mike wears his Vietnam veteran hat proudly.
I like wearing my hat because I like to meet other Vietnam vets.
So when the opportunity came to join 87 other veterans on a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Washington, D.C., it was a no-brainer.
I always thought I'd like to see the real wall and go look up my mom's friend, son. It's emotional. And it's everything today has been like that.
But after a long day of sightseeing and sharing stories, he never expected this.
It wasn't what we came to home to.
50 years later, Mike Sullivan finally got the welcome home he never had.
Just the people that took the time to make us feel good and give us a welcome we never had.
And that's something he'll remember forever. I want to thank Badger Honor Flight again for letting us tag along on the trip and giving us an opportunity to share these stories. If you'd like to get involved in supporting a future flight, you can find all the information you need at badgerhonorflight.org. And one last thing, it's not just Veterans Day we're celebrating today, it's also Mike's birthday. So from all of us here at News 3, thank you, Mike, for your service and happy birthday.